There is an argument being made by opinion writer Keigh Naughton in The Hill that Donald Trump may not make it to the primaries. Forget about Trump might not win the Republican primary. Naughton is arguing that Trump may not even make it to the primaries. Let's explore whether this might be possible. One of the things that Naughton asks is whether Trump could, quote, flame out and not even make it to the Iowa caucuses. And Naughton, in his article, and I will link to it, I encourage you to read it, lists a number of sort of strategic and polling and legal issues that could affect Donald Trump. To start with, Naughton argues, Trump's polling is kind of soft when you think about the fact that he's a former president and that he's declared and no one else has. And that polling support for Trump is already getting worse since November 8th. Trump isn't even scoring 50% against people that aren't running. So the first question is, check the facts. Is that true? And the answer is, it is absolutely true. If you look at recent polling, in Trump versus DeSantis, there's a newish Harris poll, which does have Trump well ahead of DeSantis. But remember that DeSantis hasn't even announced that he's running, and Trump still can't get to 50% in a Republican primary. This is not a national poll here. This is the Republican primary poll. Former president, only guy who's announced, not polling 50%. That is a concern. There is a YouGov poll from a few days prior. This is from last week. That one straight up has Trump losing. Trump is losing to DeSantis, who is not even running at this point in time. So in thinking through Keigh Naughton's argument, so far he's correct. Donald Trump is losing a bunch of polls. And even in the polls that he's winning, he's failing to get 50% in a primary against people who aren't even running. That is not good for a former president. Now, the counter to the poll story, you all know the counter to the poll story, which was in 2015 into 2016, during the last contested Republican primary, people were saying the same thing. This guy can't win. He doesn't have the polling support. It's going to be Jeb, or it's going to be Ted Cruz, or it's going to be somebody else, Marco Rubio, I don't know, whoever, Rand Paul. And everybody who said that was wrong. The difference is now it's a little bit weirder that Trump has such soft polling, even after announcing, despite the fact that he's all polling against people who aren't even running, because he spent 4 years as president. And he is, in a sense, the leader of the Republican Party, or at least has been for a period of time. So I think that is a concern. The next problem that Keigh Naughton points out in his article is that Trump has nothing new to offer. Now, the question is whether that's a problem. It's absolutely true. If you listen to Trump's announcement speech, it was verbatim the same speech he's been giving for a year or even longer. Whether it's a problem that Trump has nothing new to say remains to be seen. Do people want something new? And I believe the answer there is it depends who you're talking about. Trump's hard and fast followers who buy the gear, go to the rallies, repost the memes, those types of people, I don't think they want anything new. They want the exact same speech about, teaching transgender and we're going to ban men and all this different stuff. But there is a growing faction of the Republican Party, some of them have been interviewed on Fox News recently, who want something new and different. The difficulty for Trump is he can't win just with his base. That base lost him 2020, and some of them are becoming demoralized. So you've got to find some new people. And the same messaging is unlikely to capture it. I think he's absolutely correct there. Naughton also talks about the unpredictable nature of Trump's legal troubles and how those may impact what happens in this campaign. I think that is true. It's a real consideration. We just don't know the full scope of what will happen, which makes it difficult to say, here's how it will affect Trump's race. Lastly, how does Naughton get to Trump may quit before the primaries? Naughton's argument is that for Trump, quitting and saying, I don't need this crap, it's my choice, I'm going back to be a rich guy or whatever, it's better than Trump losing a primary. And that's why Keigh Naughton, in his piece for The Hill, argues this is not going to go well for Trump. The polling will be so bad that even Trump will be worried. Because remember, if the polling's a little bad, Trump will come up with, oh, it's push polling and they're trying to get people to stay home. I don't believe the polling. The polling may be so bad that Trump will believe I've got to get out rather than be humiliated by not even, as the former president, losing a primary is very embarrassing. There is one more interesting point here. Can we imagine Trump winning a New Hampshire primary right now? A Republican New Hampshire primary. The last poll from, which is one of the early primaries, the last poll from New Hampshire was from UNH in June, and it had DeSantis up by 2 in New Hampshire. Trump hadn't announced, and DeSantis hadn't announced. Trump's problems have grown since June, and DeSantis's favor has increased among Republicans since June. If it's so difficult to imagine Trump winning a New Hampshire Republican primary, Keigh Naughton's argument starts to make a lot more sense. What do you think? Let me know in the comments on YouTube, and make sure that you're subscribed. When you're looking for a good documentary to watch, you scroll through Netflix and Hulu for a while. There aren't that many. You realize you've seen the good ones. What if I told you there's a streaming platform exclusively for documentaries with the best selection where you won't run out of top quality documentaries? That is Curiosity Stream, with a massive catalog of the newest and best documentaries, classic titles from years ago, exclusive content you can't find anywhere else. I just watched Pompeii, Disaster Street. I visited Pompeii in Italy before. I wish I had seen the documentary before visiting, because it was made very clear I missed a lot when I actually went to Pompeii. You can watch Curiosity Stream on all of your devices. They're always adding new titles: politics, philosophy, true crime, nature. They have everything. And my audience gets Curiosity Stream for under $2 a month when you go to curiositystream.com/Pacman and use the code Pacman. The link is down below.